Well, Paul, let's start in sequential order. First of all, congratulations on your big win 10 days ago. Massive win.
Yeah.
As I shared with you, we were actually back at JBLE watching it with the troops. And what I did was I was letting them know before every fight what each fight meant. That's something I may not have done when you were on our trip because I was, hobbling. But I was letting them know that you were an alumni from a prior trip. And so was Felice, so they were fired up for both of you. I don't know if you know this, but Felice had been on the trip before you. But we were able to capture that moment where they were just going, USA, USA. A lot of them did remember you, and, of course, some of them were new and just wanted the American. But before we got to that point, you scared the shit out of us. Those Darces were coming in left and right.
Yeah, they were. They definitely were. I was in a lot of trouble in that early in that first round. He's slick, man. There's nothing that can be said other than he is good at what he does when it comes to jiu-jitsu, and he's not bad on the feet either. But once I was able to get on top and land some elbows, it was a game changer, and I felt that. As soon as I hit him a couple times in the first round. I knew that if I can get back to that position and stay on top and not let him get top position, because obviously I can't do that kind of damage from the bottom. But
thing of beauty, man. Applying what you learned, in front of thousands in arena and millions at home. That simply was amazing, because when you guys got back up after all that, you could just tell he was a little shook. I felt like if you read body language, he felt like, wow, how did he get out of that? He's not supposed to get out of that, you know what I mean? And he had given you hell, and you had mentally defeated him, in that battle, physically beat him. His arms had to have been shot, and you were just raging with confidence.
Yeah, we knew he's a tough guy, but we know that he has a tendency to kind of break in fights. Usually it's because of strikes, like a guy will hit him hard or land a good shot to the body, and that's how we thought we were going to get it done. But it ended up being really just being able to defend his jiu-jitsu and his submissions. And once he couldn't get me, I think he thought, oh, shit, like I just gave him the squeeze of my life. And I've choked out guys that are higher-level grapplers than him with these chokes. You know what I mean? Like Nick Lentz and all these guys, he's squeezed and guillotined these dudes who are much more accomplished grapplers than myself.
Mm-hmm.
But he just hasn't met somebody as crazy as me yet. So,
Paul, later on that night, you have two guys in your division, in Eddie Alvarez and Justin Gaethje, and they have an all-out battle. And all I can think of was, sure, there's a winner and a loser in that fight, but it almost felt like there were two losers coming out of the fight, just because I'm not so sure those guys will be the same after a battle like that. And it made me think back to just how important your performances have been, because you've pretty much made it out with little to no damage in these fights. Can you talk about how important that is?
That's the goal, right? Hit and don't get hit, and that's why I train so hard in camp, and I spar and we drill everything so specifically, because man, I want to get in there and I want to get the job done, and it doesn't always happen, and I always make that clear leading up to these fights. How do you want it to go? Well, I want to knock the guy out or submit him. I want to get in and out. But I'm always prepared for a 3-round war. I'm just not trying to be in them. And, you got Eddie, who's trying to be the most violent guy, and Gaethje, who's looking for his equal. Go ahead. You guys can go and fight over that. Meanwhile, I'll silently be knocking everybody out and working my way towards the top 10, top 5, and sneak right in there and take that title shot from you guys. Because the UFC loves wars, but you know what else they love? Seeing guys being able to fight multiple times a year and finish people. And the route that I'm going, not that it's going to always stay that way, of course, but if I can keep getting finishes and staying protected, I can fight 3 times a year and stay healthy. Like I can fight right now. There's no injuries on me whatsoever. I just got some broadcast things that, I got to do, and then I can get right back into camp. So, yeah, that's always the goal. The more I can do that, it's 3 fights in a row where I've had just a couple bruises here and there. That's it. No injuries whatsoever. So, those guys, you're right, and that's what I was talking to a lot of people about, because those names were brought up, who would you like to fight next? Man, those guys shouldn't be fighting for another, 8 months, the damage that they took.